having how people are going to remember you, or even striking the conversation is really, really important. But like, I have heard this, okay, like, if you strike a conversation to a person, and you can connect really well when you know what does he like, okay, like, is his interest or her interest into. So sometimes it is really tough to identify that, or maybe sometimes even we don't like asking too much questions about it as well. So what we can do during that point of time, or what is the exercise which we can do to improve on that part, because I think many of the audience will really have trouble to strike a conversation and then hold.
Yes, sometimes we do want to know more about them, and we don't know how to. So, as we've always said, that becoming a better listener when they are sharing and asking relevant or open-ended questions does not feel like we're asking too many questions. A. And when you ask the other person about themselves, automatically they get more involved in the conversation, because everyone likes to speak about themselves, their experiences, and that is where you will be able to connect or create this sense of belonging, or that person will start feeling that okay, this person is genuinely interested in understanding or knowing about me or connecting with me. So those are effective ways of connecting with people. And then yes, there are few other tips like icebreakers. Sonal, if you want to share that.
We cover this in an art of conversation. So one of these very senior gentlemen from the pharmaceutical industry came to us. He was based outside India, in USA, and he kind of said that I have trouble starting a conversation with somebody. Please give me some tips. So we made this whole list of icebreakers. And when we say icebreakers, it is about how you can break the ice with a stranger without offending the individual, by probably you, depending on the situation, don't ever forget LOC. You will avoid staying away. You will stay away from religion and politics, of course. And you'll crack us like a little bit of a funny one line about the situation, or ask a question that, is this the first time you're at this conference? Or by the way, this flight is going to London, right? I hope I got onto the right flight. Something
or
which
even
is very
a compliment.
light.
Starting with a compliment always works.
Always.
Because immediately you caught attention, that person has felt good about themselves, and then you put them a little higher up there, and then it's easier to kind of break that ice and start the next level conversation.
So the idea is, once again, the ability to be able to read the non-verbal cues that are coming from the person sitting next to you in the aircraft, or at a conference, or somebody that you already know. You are able to read. That is important.
I really like the idea of icebreaker, because normally this would have really happened, like, before I started going on a solo trip. I mean, this had happened with me. Like, I really wanted to strike a conversation, but I couldn't. And slowly but surely, I guess, when I started going on a solo trip, and I felt a need of striking a conversation, and then everything came with the flow. But I really want to ask you this question, because most of the listeners will want to know this, and I'm pretty sure about it. Let's say if you are, and it's a situational question, I would say, that let's say if you're standing in a coffee line, you're going to buy a coffee, and you are standing in a queue, and you just want to strike a conversation with a person who is ahead of you, or maybe behind you, and you just want to start a conversation, like, because you just want to talk to him or her, let's say. How one can do that? Is there any icebreaker line which you would have in store?
No, I'm not going to. I come up with some really naughty ones always.
So again, there is LOC, right?
Yeah.
So who is this person? Are you really attracted to this young, girl, woman, lady? And are you willing to ask her out on a date? Or are you the girl who is interested in this boy? That is one scenario.
Or there's a
We
CEO
are,
standing in front
there
of
is,
you.
yeah, that is one scenario. Then there is the professional scenario where there is somebody that is very fascinating, and you feel that, wow, this is, so this is somebody that I want to know, and if I can break the ice with this person, maybe I will learn something from this person. Or it just is very casual. There is no intention of learning or wanting something from that person, but it's just a very casual hi hello with that person, and you never know where that takes you, right?
First thing is
Right.
smile.
So
First thing is smile.
exactly, and
The
an
second thing is-
inviting smile.
Yeah. And the second thing that you can do is talk about the subject at hand, which is coffee, right? So if you're standing in a coffee line, probably you could say that, oh my God, I've been waiting for like all day for this cup of coffee. And and I hope this line doesn't take that long. It could be something as simple as that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got a lot of humor that you can do, but I don't
Right.
think I'll go down.
But that's also depending on your own personality, right? So if you
Okay.
take Sonu and myself also, if you take our personalities, she is more humorous. I am a more private person. I'm not shy. I can strike a conversation, and so can she. But we have our own ways of doing it, right? So again, it all boils down to who you are and how you want to deal with that situation, and what is then your type of personality will come up with what kind of those icebreakers, where you're retaining yourself and you're saying that, okay, for her it could be as she's saying that she's coming up with zillion funny ones in her head, whereas I'm coming up with very nice, straight, simple, direct ones where I probably could talk about a coffee that I like, or I've had a long day, and I really want this cup of coffee, or so on and so forth, right? So it's about knowing yourself also better, and then saying that, okay, why and how do I want to connect with this person.